everyone, welcome back to another lecture on the course Python Fundamentals Building Blocks for Aspiring Developers. We'll continue with the sixth module. So, we're on the 23rd day. We've made a slight change to our agenda. So, we will be working with CSV files solely on this one, reading and writing the files. We have moved the error handling and the next lecture. So, let's begin. File handling CSV files. So what file handling? Again, we know what it is. So we know Python allows us to read and write files. So along with text files, Python also allows us to read and write CSV files. So CSV is a common structure to hold tabular data. Like in Excel, you can see you have tabular data. You can save it as a CSV format. That is a CSV format simply. Reading the data requires some processing to get it in a proper format in Python and even some pre-processing to save it in a proper formatting as per the CSV. So original data is comma separated, like as you can see below. This is what a simple CSV looks like. It is a comma separated values, which means that each value is separated by a comma, and comma means that next column begins over here. So the first line is the headers or the name of the columns, and then three lines are three data rows. The first one is Harry, then age is 21, then score is 9.3. For the next row, name is John, age 22, score 8.3, and so on. So opening a CSV file. So we use the same exact syntax as we use with the text files, but we need to be aware and make sure that the extension is correct. It is .csv. But once we read the file, we need to convert it into a format that allows us to view different values of columns separately instead of as a text file. Because from here, if you read the file, the first line is gonna be this string, second line is gonna be this complete one as one string. Harry 21 and 9.3 are not gonna be different, so we need to convert them differently so we can utilize the purpose of CSV files. We will see this one. And if we move forward, we can also write a CSV file. So writing the CSV file is the same process like writing to a file, but it's slightly different when working with text files, because when we write to CSV files, we do not need to write like the text. We need to write the text with proper commas in between. So it's like kind of the reverse of what we were doing while reading the files. Because here what we were doing is that we were splitting the string at each comma. So all three or four columns are separated into each list item. So in here what we are doing is that for each list item we are just kind of joining them with a comma in between, so they're in one string. So we can actually write them in a file and open them as a CSV file. So as you can see, the data to write is a list of lists. Then we, for example, the orange line arrow represents what will be the output of the one of the data rows. If you see the underlined one, the second last line in the code, line is equals to comma dot join. So what that is doing is that if you look at the Alice 30 and New York in the list, it is just joining that into the bottom left where you can see Alice 30 and New York as a string. So that's the purpose. You can also write a dictionary, a list of dictionaries as a CSV process is almost the same. We just need to have this sort of output to be able to write it in a CSV. So for this one, the process is the same, but the way is slightly different. We're just putting in the headers at first, and then we just have a slightly different syntax over here. So we can access the values instead of the keys and key value pairs and write them as CSV files. So let's go ahead and start coding. So I'll just go back to the sixth module. I'll just remove everything from here for now. and just clear this one for now and just get rid of this one. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create a CSV file. So what I can do is here I can say test.csv to the CSV file. So how am I gonna work with the CSV file? First I'm going to create some data. So let's say we have name, then we have age, and then we have, let's say, score. Let's keep it the same. The name is, let's say, Harry. The age is, let's say, 22, and score is, let's say, 9.3. The next one we say Harry John 21 8.5, and final one we say, let's say, Kevin, and his age is also 21 and the score is 8.8. I save the file. So now it is a CSV file. If I go over here, this code, and this is a .csv file. You can see this is a CSV file. Let's see, properties.csv file. I can even try and open it with Excel. Let's see if we can try and open it with Excel. Yeah. Let's say open. And okay. Let's say home, blank workbook, and let's just go ahead and drag drop this one over here. So you see this is a CSV file right now. We can convert this into a CSV. For example, let's say data, text column, still limited, next, finish. Okay. Let's just do it quickly. Can delete it, next, next. No, back. We want a comma over here like this. Next, finish. Everything is in a comma. We can also save it as a CSV from here. Let's say just new.csv. So if you look at this is a colon separated file. This is a comma separated file. So that's just one difference over here with this Excel and the one. Otherwise, we can also give it a separator of colon. I mean, it's fine if we use colon. You'll see. So right now we're using this one. Test. Let's go back. This is our CSV. Save it. And now first, let's open this file. So let's say file path. First, I want to give a file path is equals to test.csv, and then I say file. I'm gonna do with open file path as read mode and oops as file, and let's say print file just to see what it prints. Save it and the code. Yeah, we have the file. We can also, instead of doing this, printing the file, we say 4 line in file, print line. This is the line. So you see every line is one string. This all is now as one single string. So what I want to do is that instead of it being one single string, I want it to be 3 different values. So what I can do is I can split it at this comma because I know the separator is a comma, right? So I can say instead of this, I say line dot split at what? A comma, right? Then if I print it, so now it has become 3 different, like 4 lists. I can now even do a strip like dot strip just to get rid of extra white spaces if there are any. Okay. Oh yeah, it should be over here. Just to get rid of any white spaces. This is the same exact thing we saw. So yeah, everything's correct. Now if I open this other file, let's say just new.csv, same exact thing, right? and I say test.csv. If I run it as it is, it's gonna be like this. But if I just change the split over here, change it to the column, this is the way, this is this thing column, the separator. Change the separator and everything's fine. Name, age, score, everything's fine, right? We can now even create that into a dictionary. Like I could say, I have a data that is a dictionary, and I say, let's say, um, temporary dictionary, and I say the first one is the name, right? So I say name is equals to what? This one, line dot split. I can save this one in a variable. I'm going too fast, but I'll explain it a bit at the end. So let's say data underscore row is equals to this, this. Let me just print it to temp data is equals to data row, and then I want to say name is at the first index. Then we have age at the second one, and we have score at the third one, and then I want to say data, and I can say data underscore row, and then I can say name is equals to, yeah, okay, yeah, my bad. In the data, I want to say this is equals to template, and if at the end I say print depth of print data instead of data, I want to say data, and I say depth is equals to this. Okay, so instead of this, I just say data, and I say data row 0. So you see now I have uh, this thing over here. Name is name, age Harry. So this one is the first one. This one is supposed to be the header. Now for Harry we have name, Harry, age, this, code, this, John, name, age, score, and everything. So what I'm doing is that first you understand it up till here. Okay, this line and this line are same, right? So once we print this one over here, over on this line, I say I create a temporary dictionary that is empty. I say put the name that is at the 0th of this row. This one is one by one. This is coming in the first iteration, the second one in the second iteration, and so on. So let's consider this second iteration. So I say, okay, in the name, put this value, in the age, at the first index, put this value, and in the score, put this value in the temporary dictionary. So now this data, so now create a key. So the key is data row 0, that is name over here, Harry, and give it a value of dictionary, the complete dictionary, like make it a bit nested. And in the next iteration, the dictionary now becomes empty, everything fills in, and now we have this sort of thing. But what a better way would be to sort of have it like this, and like this, and let's say data dot append data row, something like this. Yeah, and so I'll not just print it over here like this and do like this. So we have a list of lists. That's simple. We can then perform any operation, right? We can convert it into a dictionary or anything else and we can perform any operation. If you want to do this sum of scores, you can just iterate over this 9.3, 8.5, 8.8, anything that you want. Similarly, we can also write a CSV file. So to write a CSV file, first we need to have some sort of data. So let's say we create a data, this. So let's say we have the same exact thing, name, age, and then we have score. In the next row we have, let's say that, let's just keep it the same. Let's just keep it like the same. Copy it, paste it. Just gonna make it a bit easier to read like this. Just for the sake of changing, let's just change the numbers a bit here so we know that we're working with a new file. And let's just get rid of it, everything over here. We don't need it for now, like this. So let's say we say test output. This is the name we are going to give to the output CSV. So what we're going to do is that we have the data over here. So first we're gonna open the file, that is the output file with open what's the name? File path with open file path in the mode write as file. And now you come over here. Let's just put it over here just so it is easier to read for now. Yeah, so we're here. So first what I want to do is that I want to say for row in data, that is iterating over this dictionary or iterating over this list that contains the lists. So row is basically one list, this one or this one for each iteration. So what I want to do is let's say print for now and we'll make changes slowly, right? So this is one of the um, lists. So what I want is that instead of it like this, for example, let's say that let's take this one, just an example. Instead of being like this, I want it to be like this. Kevin, comma 21, comma 7 point, right? This should be like this, so I can write it. I can even get rid of these from here. It doesn't matter for now. I mean, yeah, it's the same exact thing. So this one and this one are now same, right? But over here we have it in this format. We need to convert it in this one. This is why we need to do something over here. So what we do is that we say values is equals to comma dot join, and then we say row, and then we say plus backslash n. Okay, so now if we look at the output, we do not do print, so let's say print values, do it like this. And now what happens is that when we were considering this one, we have this output here, same, right? I've just not enclosed it in a string, but it's the same, right? So what this is doing is that it says for row, that is this, iterate over this one and join each of these elements with a comma in between. So it takes Kevin, puts a comma, puts 21, puts comma, puts 7.8. That's it, no more comma. If there were like three more values, it would put comma in the values there. Then at the end we put backslash n. So it basically becomes like this. And now whatever I put next to it, like whatever I put now will be in the next line. So I want it in the next line. This is why I put this backslash n. So now I have it in the correct format. This one, I can get rid of this one because I do not need this. I do save this. So this is the format now. Age, this, and this. So what I can do is that I can now simply write the file. So I say file dot write. I say what? File dot write. Um, yeah. Instead of writing it over here, what we can do is that we can also write it over here. File dot write and values within the bracket, something like this. If I do it like this, everything's there. We have test output. So we have this over here, right? So if I do file dot write one time, it just writes on a new line. It just writes, then I write it again, again and again and again. So all the lines are written, and then finally the file is closed. So we can also do it like this. Similarly, I quickly want to show you how we can do it with the dictionary. So I mean that's gonna be long, but let's just do it quickly. Let's say we have dictionary with name and name. We have name, and we have age. Let's copy this one, paste this one, paste this one. Then we have a score. Yeah, then we have a score. I put the score over here. Just copy this one. This. I just wanna like make sure that we can use it with dictionaries as well with a slightly different text like this. So now we have this uh, list of dictionaries, right? So we say name, Harry, age, this, score, this. So now what we can do here is that instead of doing it like this, because before if I write the file, it is now not a list. It will be not like this. So what I do is that with open this, file path the same. What I want to do is that first I want to join the headers that will form this name of the column. So for that, I'll say headers is equals to, I will use the same exact exact concept, but in terms of a dictionary rather than a list. So I say dot join data 0 dot keys, and then I say plus backslash n. So what I'm saying is that for the first data, because the keys are the same in each of these, so I say for the first data, this one, I just want the keys because keys are the name of the column. So the keys will be name, age, and score. And then I put a backslash n over there and I join these by a comma. Okay, so I get name, age, and score as a list, and then I join them as with a comma to form a string. At the end, I put a backslash n. So now I just want to write the headers onto the file. So I say file.write headers. That's it. Now I'll move on to the data. So I say for row data, because we want to go over 3 rows, all the rows that are in the data. I say values is equals to, again we want to join it by this dot join, and then I say string. I'm just using string to make sure that um, if it is a integer, it is not an integer in this case, but if it is, then there shouldn't be an issue. For value in row dot values like this, and then plus, oops, can do then plus and backslash n, and we can do print values just for the purpose of printing first. Let's do it like this. So now you see we have everything in the correct form. So what this is doing is that for value and row dot values, so this will become one. We know row dot values returns a list of values. So it says for value and row dot values. So this is kind of like a comprehension, like a set comprehension or a list comprehension. So it creates a list, this one, okay, list of these values. Then we join that list of values like Harry 22 and 9.2 with a comma in between and add a backslash n. This is why we get this. Now we can also do this file dot write this thing, like copy this, paste it over. We are going to write the values to the file, do control F5. Yeah, we do not print, we just write the values to the file. And let's say, yeah, 7.8, 9.5. Let's change it to something else, 8.5, just so we know we are correct. We have just 8.5 for John, the latest one. So this is how we can kind of like generate different outputs. So one thing you can do is that, for example, if you had the data like this, like if I remove it from here, I'm just going to try and give you an example of the use case. So for example, let's say at the end we say print data. Okay, file path is not defined. We wanna say file path is equals to, let's say test.csv, or instead of that, let's test new.csv, run the code. So this is, let's say we have the output, right? So what you can do is that you can maybe save the, you can, like someone asks you to get uh, the average of their scores. So what, and save that as a text file, right? The average of scores is this. So what you do, once you've read the data, yeah, you have the data over here. So we do not need the first one because it is just the header. We know that score is at this index, at the last index. So what we can say is data is equals to data one, like from the first one, control X, control V, and if we run it from here, we have the first line removed. It is just kind of slicing. And now we say for row in data. So in the first row, we want to go to this one. So we say, let's say sum is equals to 0, like this, and we say sum is equals to plus equals to row, and the last one at the last index this, and we do this. We can print sum, run it. So it says, yeah, it is string and integer. We need to convert this into a integer. So I'll do okay. Go back to being an integer. Okay, instead of, so now it is a 9.3 value. 9.3 cannot be an integer. It can be a float. So I'm going to convert it into a float instead of an integer, like this. So now we have the sum. So how we can do average? We say average is equals to sum over length of what? Data, right? Which will be 3, and when then we say print average, do it like this. So now we have an average. So you see this is kind of like one workflow, and now I want to save the average as a text file. So I say with open, let's say result.txt. So I can also give the path in here instead of giving a variable, and I want to do a write mode and as file, and I say okay, file dot write average of the course is, then is a file dot write what is the average, and that's it. Now save it, run it. Okay, light argument must be string, like this must be a string, so I need to convert it into a string. So I can understand that I'm moving a bit fast, but now we have this result over here and it says average of the scores is 8.67. So all of the thing that I've done here is the ones that we've learned. You just need to go over this video slowly if you want, and that will be good enough. So that was all in this lecture. So in this lecture, I tried to highlight the importance of files and how we can use it for different use cases. We just used a very simple example of just doing an average of the scores of people, but you could do pretty much anything with this one. And that's all. If you have any issues with the third one, try and slow down the video and read each line of code. It's the same exact things that we have done in the previous lectures. And once you do it, you will understand it pretty quick. So that was all in this lecture, and we'll meet you in the next one. Up till then, goodbye.